So that's great. That's very common. And even my department had asked me if I could come today. And actually, I almost got stuck in Louisville, Kentucky. I booked with Southwest, and somehow they could fly me to Chicago, but not from Chicago to Hobby.
Yeah.
And they canceled the flight. I didn't know that until 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock yesterday. And so it's within few, probably 5-10 minutes, I booked another. I had canceled that flight and booked ticket to go to George Bush.
Right.
Otherwise, I won't be here.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. So that's great that welcome back all of you, and hope that you catch up with all your works. Do you have any problems of working? You guys reading a lot?
Yes.
It's understand sometimes it's strange, right, for you guys, right?
Yeah, some of the readings are a little difficult.
I know.
Just because you weren't having you to supplement it, but yeah.
But you have sufficient information to do the work, right?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
That's good then. Have you tried? You log on the
blackboard.
The blackboard without last year?
I just saw it yesterday. Like it just popped up yesterday.
Oh really? Okay. But you try to catch up. Okay. Yeah, even I don't put any as I said, penalty or subtraction of late work, but try your best. Try your best to catch up because toward the end of the semester there's a lot of pressure. So it's better for you to spread out your times. Don't wait for last minute and jump. I have seen almost every semester, I have seen many students, they wait for last minute. It's not good for them. Yeah, there's a lot of pressures, a lot of stresses. So it's better to do the work. Keep with the momentum so you can handle the work much easier. Don't wait for last minute. And understand that. So that's why I don't subtract any points, but try best. And well, let's see here. You guys know that. Let me review one more time about this schedule. Especially if you come here late. So I think in September let's see here. But you know, right? September 30. I will have a meditation platforms. You sit in my lap, okay, only 4 hours, it's not much. You won't sit for 4 hours, don't worry. You sit in, stand in, walk in, and so on. But 1 week before that, I will remind you. Where's my address here? Okay. And you have in mind, if it's better, you have in mind the topic that you like to drive your final paper or would like to do presentation, let me know soon. Okay? And one of you have that thought, you want to do some kind of presentation?
I wouldn't mind doing a presentation.
Okay. So how about you have piece of paper, can you write down?
I do.
Yeah. Actually, I asked you guys last time if you, so we have about 13 students here. Welcome back. How's your house?
Good, yeah.
Good? Wow, great. It's glad to hear that.
Good news.
Okay. So, about your cars, you got cars okay?
Yeah, car's good.
Otherwise you will be here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You can write my name down?
Yeah, please. Please your name. And the last day is the presentation day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I pass it around or?
Yeah, please. Who would like to?
Should I put, oh, this is just for presentation or just presentation or writing? And should I make like a list, like presentation here, writing here, or how would you like it to be?
Oh, that's good. That's good. Whoever, if you do presentation, let me know. Of
Okay.
course, otherwise you do the
This is one day presentation.
and in this,
Do you want to write a
we
presentation?
have on the up to
Oh, you will sign it. So So you want to do the presentation?
require a student to do because we don't have much time.
Presentation?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
December
No
the
pressure.
7th. No pressure, December 7th, that's the last day of the class.
I think it's just me for now.
That's okay, let me know sooner, alright? Yeah, that's good then. Okay?
I need to work on my public speaking.
Now,
Mhm.
you can do that then.
Yeah.
You grad a student, right?
I'm applying for graduate school this semester, but I'm the president of the Honors Club for Psychology, so I need to start being more articulate when I speak, so,
That's good then.
yeah.
Fine.
Get over it.
Okay, that's
Stage
great.
fright.
So you went over the syllabus? right?
Yeah,
What's your status now?
I'm a freshman.
Oh, freshman.
Yeah,
From where? From which high school?
Bel Air.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you midway adjustment, right?
Well, for me, it's just because recently I started studying it a little bit more than when I was younger. Because like I grew up, in a Buddhist family and a household, but I never really was attached to it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try your best. And any question? Anything that yes?
Oh, for the practicum, I can't drive. My husband's gonna have to take me. Would it be okay for him to stay on?
Definitely.
Okay.
If they want us to come, that's fine with me. Yeah. Okay. And okay, so let me get back to. So you have any question you want me on? And so I know there's I pick up some books and sutras that talk about Buddhist meditations. That's why you may find some strange terms, right? To read. So if you don't understand much, just Google search, and I think pop up. Most of the time, the terms will pop up for you to understand. Because this class we really focus on Buddhist meditations. That's why it's delayed, mostly with Buddhist traditions. So how are your work? Who finished all of the 3 years? Who finished all? Who's still working on? Okay, try, okay? Try. I don't put, as I told you guys, I don't put any penalty for late work, but try. Because I don't want to give too much pressure on your guy, but as college student, you need to spread out your work and spread out your times. Don't waste for last minute. Especially your freshman, you need to be prepared. No one remind you, no one watch over your shoulder except yourself. Alright, so let's move on for our class today. Let's see here. So today is the 5th day. Actually, we skipped 2 days, right? Yeah. Actually, somehow last Thursday we off.
Yeah. Perfect.
Probably we doing the storm, and of course we missed last Tuesday. So because of the school policy, we don't make up anything, right?
Yeah.
So we just move on. Let's give the guy a lot of pressure too. Hi.
Hi.
How's your house?
It was good.
Very good?
Yes, not a lot of flooding.
Oh, good then. Glad to hear that.
Thank
Your
you.
car is okay?
Yes.
Well, otherwise you won't be here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have plenty of. Hi. How's your house?
Good.
Good. How's your car?
Good.
All right. That's good then. Some of you guys went out to have.
Yeah.
Most of you. Where did you go?
I went back to my land area by my school, and
Oh,
I kind of like kayaked around.
I came out of shelters. Where did you have?
I went to Lakewood,
Oh,
the
okay.
church.
I see. That's the church you went? There's a lot of people?
There were a lot of people.
Thousands. They open late, right?
Yeah.
Tourism, right? They still have people over there? Or the most of them gone?
I think some of them are leaving.
Do they have church on Sunday?
They did.
Yeah. I'm never been there.
How about anyone of you? You volunteer to work out, to help out? Actually, my temple is a temple shelter too. I host only few of them, not many. We have more, but still have food, some personal supply I can handle. Anyway, so we come back today and oh, let me check your name first. Sorry. Your number, please.
Number 5.
Okay, any number?
Number 2.
Okay. Yeah, I read some of your response. Most of you respond to the person properly and correctly. But again, since this gears toward Buddhist traditions, a lot of strange terminology plus a lot of things for you to read. It's too much for you guys? Oh, that's good. It's too much for you? Oh, good. Actually, I want to check on you. That's the freshman. Okay. So today, so you guys know, right? When they put the page number, you guys know, right?
Yeah.
And you just read that part. Otherwise, yeah, let's say that for this book, it's a lot. Yeah, so hundreds of pages you read that part. So today we talk about Theravada-Samatha meditation, object of meditation, mindfulness, breathing, and 4 elements. So let's just review. Of course, we skip the 2 classes that relate to Theravada and Samatha meditation. Anyone of you give me some idea what's the meaning of Samatha? What's it mean?
Doesn't it mean tranquility or something like that?
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
concentration meditation.
Yes. Let me get the hands on. And how about the Vipassana? Who knows what's the difference? What's the difference between
Vipassana is more insight.
Yes? What do you say?
Oh, it's more focused on insight.
Okay. So, okay, so what's the difference again? The difference between Samatha and Vipassana? What's the difference? Sorry, I don't have to write here.
How do you spell this?
This Samatha is here, and Vipassana. So I start to bring the pen. Okay, I will type this one. Okay, it's the word Samatha, Vipassana. So again, what's the difference? Samatha, what's the definition?
Samatha is also focused on calming the mind.
Okay, how about Vipassana?
That's more like an end goal of really understanding the reality of existence around you and kind of letting go of the illusions of what your ego says it is.
So what's the difference? What's the difference?
I guess the techniques really.
Huh?
The techniques really, but Samantha is more like object oriented. Like there's a lot more visuals to it. Like you have these tools to really guide you through it, and you have these steps you can go through that help clear your minds.
Okay. Anyone else? So again, any types here. So samatha, that's been concentration. Yeah, concentration. For example, you concentrate on writing. You concentrate on driving. You concentrate, whichever thing you concentrate, that's called samatha. You concentrate on one subject, only one. That's called samatha. And vipassana is similar but different. In the sense that whenever you move your mind, you are mindful. For example, while you're writing, you know that you're writing. While you're eating, you know that you are eating. While you're talking, you know what you're talking. You know, it's, last years we have the mindfulness class, and I took my student to the student center where we have Vidano and so forth, right? And we sat there to observe how the student act, what happened. Most probably 80 to 99% of students were eating and talking. That's not vipassana. You understand that? So let's say when you eat, you really focus on your eating. When you talk on the phone, you really focus on your talking. So basically, vipassana is a series of concentrations, which whenever you move your mind to, you pay attention to that. You're mindful of that. So make sure to understand that. So that's when we talk about the 10 kashina that relate to samatha. The 10 types of like the earth, the water, to really focus on one object. Makes sense? And one of the reasons why vipassana is popular now, because we can integrate the practice into our daily life. For example, while you're driving, you know that you're driving. No talking, no texting. Right? When you're eating, that you recognize, but you're mindful of your eating, not talking. It's not easy, right? We get used of doing many things at times. We thought that we don't have much time. Actually, the more we do things at once, the harder for us. So it's better to do one at one time, once in a time. Like classroom, right? If you concerned about the next class, and you do the testing and you check, or you do your homework for the next class, you lost the attention. You don't pay attention in this class. So it's not vipassana. That's instruction. It's understandable? Okay? So go back here. Since I don't have a black pen, so I can write on here. Okay, so mental object of meditation, all kind of object of meditations, especially in samathas. So they have what you call mindfulness of breathing. For elements, let's talk about mindfulness of breathing. Anyone of you doing meditation now? Practice meditation at home? How you practice?
I've gone to the one at the gym. They have a meditation class.
In the gym?
Here on campus.
That's good. Every week? Once a week?
Yeah, I think it's twice a week. It's okay. I did it, the first time I did it, I don't know if, I didn't really like it. I started like, I guess I wasn't focusing. And so I just started getting dizzy, and then I was like, and then my back started hurting, so I was like, and we had to sit there for a long time.
This is for free, right?
If you're a student, you can go in for free and take it.
Okay. How
So
long? 20 minutes?
I think it's 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
But she'll talk to you and she'll tell you what to do, and then you just sit there and breathe.
So twice per week they have,
I think they have it on
a session there.
Tuesday and Thursday, yeah.
That's good then. You practice at home?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I've done a class before at the gym too, not this gym, but a different gym. But we sat on a chair and she just used these bells, kind of.
What's that?
I don't know, like they were like finger bells every like 30 minutes. You just clap. Anyway, but you just sit down and you just were focusing on your breathing. She said.
Okay, how about you?
I go for the mindfulness meditation more.
What is it?
Just sit down and like focus on my breathing and then attend to my thoughts usually.
Where? In your name?
In wherever I am.
Ah,
I
I
do
see.
it a couple times a day to help my anxiety.
Anyone? Yes?
I've done Vipassana meditation, but it was like I did it with like a YouTube video at home. Yeah.
YouTube?
Huh?
You use YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah. It was cool.
So actually start with most of the meditations based on the breath, right? So that's why we start with mindfulness on the breath in. And let me show you this quick clip. Okay.
The volume's off on the thing.
Oh, okay. So.
Every day, the body breathes about 20,000 times. By the time we reach 70 years old, that's about 600 million breaths. All of this breathing occurs because of the respiratory system, which includes the nose, throat, voice box, windpipe, and lungs. At the top of the respiratory system, the nostrils bring air into the nose, where it's filtered, warmed, and moistened. Tiny hairs called cilia protect the nasal passageways and other parts of the respiratory tract and filter out dust and other particles that enter the nose through the breathed air. Air can also be breathed in through the mouth. The two airways of the nose and mouth meet up at the pharynx, which is located at the back of the throat. The pharynx carries both food and air and is used for digestion and respiration. One path is for food. This is called the esophagus, which leads onto the stomach. The other side is for air. It's called the trachea. A small flap of tissue, called the epiglottis, covers the air-only passage when we swallow. This stops food and liquid from going into the lungs. The larynx, or voice box, is located at the top of the trachea, the air-only pipe. This is where our vocal cords are. The trachea, or windpipe, which is a 2 to 3 centimetre tube, then extends downwards from the bottom of the larynx for about 12 centimetres. The walls of the windpipe are made strong by stiff rings of cartilage that keep it open. The trachea is also lined with tiny hairs. They sweep foreign particles and fluids out of the airway, keeping them from entering the lungs. The windpipe divides into 2 branches, and each one of these enters one of the 2 lungs of the body. Each branch resembles the limbs of a tree dividing into smaller, finer branches called bronchioles. The bronchioles end in tiny air sacs called alveoli, which look a bit like grapes. These structures enable fresh air to get to the air sacs, which are surrounded by tiny blood vessels, or capillaries. The oxygen passes through these air sacs and travels through the capillary walls into the bloodstream. At the same time, carbon dioxide transfers from the bloodstream into the air sacs, where it gets breathed out of the body. When we exercise, the body needs more oxygen to feed the muscles as they work harder. The body responds by breathing more quickly and deeply. As the cells of the muscles use up more oxygen, the lungs have to work harder to keep up the supply. The respiratory system then speeds up to supply the body with much needed oxygen, and also to get rid of the carbon dioxide waste in the system. Over time, exercising also helps our chest cavity to get bigger, which enables the body to increase the amount of air it takes in. More capillaries form around the air sacs, so the body gets better at swapping oxygen and carbon dioxide gases. We can see how the body's respiratory system helps the body to move about, and is influenced by regular and ongoing physical activity as well.
Okay, so we know, right? Who are the pre-med major? No one here. So probably we study. And even if you have taken health class here, yeah. So probably you may know some of this, right? Okay. So again, the breath is so important for your life, for every one of us. Without breath, we would not stay here anymore. When we were unborn. So before I spend, how many of you have done this assignment? You done? How many of you?
I started reading it, but it was hard for me to follow.
Oh.
But I guess because I was kind of sleepy.
Oh, really? But you did? You finished?
I started reading it. I haven't finished my response, but I did start reading
Okay.
it.
How about you? You did? You finished your response. So how did mindfulness of breath and?
Well, when I was reading it, I found myself actually performing whatever I was reading, and it like really calmed down my mind, and just it felt like for me it was time was slowing down, you know, because we live in a fast-paced society, and it felt nice, it felt relaxing to just feel it, like slow down for a second. It was interesting.
I have actually a question about that. I think it was the reading prior. It was for Samatha meditation, that they mentioned how some people after hours of practicing it, where they just like stopped breathing altogether. And I was just wondering if that's like common.
Sorry, get lost. Can you repeat
That after hours of meditating, that some people just stopped breathing, that they claim that they stopped breathing.
No,
Is
not
that-
really stop
No?
breathing, but they slow down.
Mm.
And according to some books say that when they enter what they call the first samadhi state of mind, that's mean meditative state of mind, you would you not recognize the pulse. Right now, right? If we press on the vein here, we hear the beat hurt, right? At that moment, for this serious meditator, they would not recognize that beating on the veins because it's so slow, it's so subtle, and of course, it's many stories in Buddhist tradition that when someone enters samadhi, that's when they really focus on whichever the breath, whichever. So people thought that they passed away, but they're still alive because their breath is so subtle, and at that moment, unless you have some bell to hit the bell, that kind of wake them up or get out this samadhi. Otherwise, they have the momentum to stay there for days, months, even years, even decades. They depend upon this skill. There's a lot of story. The one funny story that I want to tell you too. So I don't know whether you know this story. Journey to the West. You know about that?
Oh, my favorite.
Your favorite.
I love it. Yeah.
Alright. Journey to the West. Probably you may not know much, right? But for Asian people, you know that this is a story. Then the roots they based upon the real story to write this fiction. So there's a monk, a Chinese monk, who went from China to India to search for Buddha teachings. And that's the real story. But 1,000 men, he based upon that his real story to write about his journey to India, but he puts many
Like dramatized it.
imaginable characters. The monkey kings, the one who represents the pig and so forth. And I think if you read that story, this is really funny. Yeah, even you can type on YouTube, there's some kind of kung fu movies down there. If you type Journey to the West, but actually that's based on this story, real story of the monk. His name is Chan. So he went from China to India. So on the way, he stopped at the mountain, and somehow he found a monk who was sitting in meditation in that cave, and he could not talk with him because that monk he went into samadhi, concentration. So he used the bell to hit, and at that time the monk got out of the samadhi, and Xuan Chan, he asked his monk, how long did you stay here? How long did you sit here? And he told him that, oh, I sat in meditation in that dynasty. This is about 700 years, more than 700 years. And Xuan Chan, he encouraged him, why don't you you get out and help people instead of sitting here by yourself. Alright, so he said, okay, I can help, but I cannot move my body. My body is too old now for me to move around. So he said, okay, that's good then. Why don't you take the bird in the country to the house, to the red roof house in China. Red roof represents the emperor, the royal. So somehow he agreed. So after that he passed away, and his spirit went to China to be reborn over there, but somehow he went to the wrong place. He was born in the yellow roof, not the red roof. Yellow roof represents the officers. The red roofs represent the royal, like the prince, the prince and so forth. So this is the wrong story. But I want to tell you that some people, they have that skill. They could sit in meditation of what we call samadhi for years, for decades, even 100 years and so forth. If you really focus on your mind, like when you love riding, right? You don't pay attention much of times. When you love talking with your friends, whoever you love, boyfriends, girlfriends, or whoever, times go by quick, right? So that's what the point concentration. Okay. Your name, please, sir?
Mohammed.
Okay. How is your house?
It's okay. It's
okay. Your house is okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the number?
13.
Okay. So that's what this is samatha or concentration about. Okay. And one thing they want to mention that let's see here. So samatha is concentration. You concentrate on one subject. And in the Zen edition, we study later on. Most of the time, it's followed with samathas. Like later on, we study about the Kong An, or the subject of meditations. That's usually related with samathas. But for the Theravada traditions, they use vipassana. So later on, we learn a lot, and we read a lot too. Okay. So let me go back then. Anyone of you done this homework? This you done? You done?
Yeah.
So how is that? How is prayer meditation about?
Well, based off the reading, what I understood was that you first need to go through the 5, concentration faculties, and then after that you will go into the 7 stages of enlightenment, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then because once you fulfill the 7 stages of enlightenment, then you'll be able to go into, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Jhana.
Yeah.
Jhana.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. The monk who entered that's jhana or samadhi or concentration. But how about breath meditation? How about you read some?
Yeah, I read some. Are you referring to the I don't know how to pronounce it either, but in the text they was talking about a guy who, I guess, he went to the forest and he sat, I think, underneath a tree or near a tree, and he started his meditation. They were describing how he took a long breath and then he exhaled long. I believe he took a short one next, then exhaled short. And I think he did that repeat for a while, until I guess he was, meditating or in a trance.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone of you? Anyone before I move on? I don't want to give a lecture by myself. I want to listen to you guys so I can give you some feedback. So, anyone, you done? You done with this homework? Okay. All right. Let me move on then. So, breath meditation, we know, right? Let me see here. Again, the breath is the source of our life, and without breath, we could not survive. Yes, we can survive without water and food for a couple of days, right? But we could not survive without breath even for 10 minutes. Have you tried to hold? No, don't try. I used to tell my younger student to hold, but a few minutes. But yeah, 10 minutes we cannot handle that. Yeah, we can handle the food and drink for a couple of days, but not the breath. And here is a life, all right. We have this is in our life. We have so much stressful traumatic event that we have to encounter, especially many people when they were flooded, even when your car was flooded, or something wrong happens with yourself or your family members or your friends or whoever. You stress yourself out. This is life. You stress ourselves up. It's just go up, go down. Here is we can say the depression up to the stressful. It's not easy for us to have steady mind, especially after this horrific flooding. Okay, so the stress, this is for it affects the brain and the body, right? It affects the body and the mind. Short-term, fast, rapid breathing. Long-term, chronic stress, shadow, less frequent breathing. So, if you study psychology, you know, right? It is related to the body a lot. That's why. So that's why I have to explain this way. You know, the breath is like the bridge between the body and the mind. Let me move on and explain the picture. And our body, our human body and mind is as a car. This is circuitry of the car. You know, right? Sympathetic nervous system, accelerator, and parasympathetic nervous system, then the brake. This is help us to regulate the body and the mind. And we need to have some times to relax our mind. Otherwise, it's not easy when we're so stressed out. We couldn't eat much, and all kind of disease, all kind of illness come about. Here, this is the move, right? The move of up and down emotion that we have to deal with. And beta is the easy thinking. That's we have all kind of thinking nowadays. Most of the time we hear in the beta, alpha, relax, image visualize, self-inspect, and daydream and so forth. So most of the time for the meditators, if they enter what we call jhana or samadhi, they go deeper, very deep, not this deep, but deeper state of mind. And later we can talk more about this. And what happened with beta wave? What happened? Do they talk in psychology about this thing?
No, we don't really get into the physiological aspect per se. So no, I really haven't learned about waves.
And what happened then? What happened if we worry too much in our mind? If we're thinking too much, what happened then? Overdose. Burnout. Especially toward the end of the semester.
I'm already there.
Already been there.
So that's why I told you guys, spread out your work. Don't waste for last minute. It's like our brain is like a computer. Don't download too much information at once. Take times. Alright, so spread out your work. Spread out your times to do your work. Okay, and This has happened to everyone of us when we think too much. We get stuck, and sometimes we have headache, or sometimes we don't know what to do. I'm not talking about when we deal with this type of crisis situation like the flooding. Many people, when their home was flooded, they don't know what to do. They stuck there. They stuck there. Right? So if we're peaceful, if we're mindful, yes, no matter what happens, we know how to resolve the problem. We know how to deal with this kind of challenges. So that's why. It's why if we follow this kind of teaching, the kind of practice is calm our mind, and we know what we try to solve. Here, distresses, reaction, avoidance, wrong reaction, judgment. Many people say it's unfair. My house is flooded. How about other people? They don't. It's unfair. But most of the time, and we have the mindful response. Just accept the reality. No one wants to have this kind of disaster, right? And people in Florida, they're ready to deal with.
Oh man.
Yeah, and it's just nature disaster. Sometimes this is go beyond our ability to control. So the only thing we need to do is just make declaration, and then remember that last Friday, I went out to buy the the generator. It's all gone.
Yeah, all sold out.
And even the lamp, in case that you don't have anymore. But you see, you use the lamp and candles.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared, especially in this era.
Yeah.
So don't wait for last minute. Yeah, accept that.
Yeah.
Acceptance is so important. Yeah, from time to time, we need to recognize this. When we accept, it's easy for us to let go. If we try to fight, if we try to argue and so forth, it would not solve much. Of course, unless something we can handle, right? Right. Especially if we are prepared for, I don't know, whichever can happen, it's much better. But when things come, we accept and move on. So it's much better, much easier on us. So there is focus attention on the breath. It will help us to redirect attention to the breath, and it will help us to redirect our attention. This is the breath here. The breath. Remember, we know that we're somehow it's better. This is better. It's healthy for us to breathe in and out through the nose than the throat or than the mouth. You know why, right? Let's see. How is your house?
Good.
Good. Otherwise, I'm over here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Your car is okay too? Your car is okay too?
Yeah, my car's fine.
How about your family? Is this okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. Thanks.
That's a good thing. Let's see. You're number 15, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's better to breathe in and out through the nose because we have the hair, right, to filter out all the bacteria and so forth. It's more healthy. If we open the mouth, all the material pollution may come to our body. We can get the disease easily, especially in Houston. Somehow that the pollution. We don't have much pollution like in LA or New York. At least 2 times per year I fly there to give lecture there, and on the air then when we walk and we look out or on the ground, we look up, it's so polluted. It's because it's a big city.
Too many people.
Too many people. But Houston is the air.
But we're large. It's like the dense per square mile. There's more people in LA and New York because we're such a large state. We're able to be populated in a
spread out, right?
Exactly, we're spread out. In LA and New York, we're very confined spaces. I hate New
We've got a
York.
lot of nature too that helps.
Yeah,
exactly.
Trees
And plus, of course, the ocean help out too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And even the bayous and the waterways
Exactly.
we have help too.
Yeah.
So,
Purifying the air for sure.
Okay, so yeah, it's better to breathe through the the nose instead of the mouth. Here, influence on emotion through the breath. You know, right? Anger. When we're angry, the breath becomes short and quick, and we sad, upset, become long and deep. So this has happened to every one of us. That's why. That's why when someone's so angry, they may heart attack easily. Right? Here, you feel breathless. Your avoid activities make you feel breathless. You breath. This is a circle. When you don't have enough breath, you could not consume much oxygen for your body, especially for the brain. You know, they say that it's about 60%, more than 60% of the oxygen that the brain needs to consume. But if you don't breathe in enough oxygen, you know, it's unhealthy. Right? Breath in the move, we know that anger, short and quick, fear, anxiety, you can't breathe. Somehow we hold our breath, is that right? Sometimes, especially when you're taking the test, right? You could feel that, and your shoulder is so tense. You hold the breath to focus on the questions. So that's why you need to be prepared. In our Buddhist class last semester, we talked about how to deal with test anxiety, and it's better to prepare to study first. And when you're ready to go into the class to take the test, just try to relax yourself. Let go of everything, so that you can be prepared to take the test. Otherwise, it's be stressful. Breath. Yes.
What would you say if it's like, because in my position I'm studying for the GRE, and it's like a really large test that can really dedicate like the pathway of your life. And so that, yes, like that advice would help for like a normal fall test or normal like test every day. But if it's like this one big test that has so much weight on it, how do you really calm your mind when there's just so much pressure to perform? Because a lot of money is spent on the test, a lot of time, and it's just overwhelming, very. So,
I know, you know, there's many ways how to deal with this type of situations. One thing is that, let's say, be prepared, study hard first. If you don't study, if you don't study, and when you come to the class to take test, no way for you to pass.
Yeah.
You have to study hard. But at least a couple hours before taking the test, let go of everything. Look at the sky, the blue sky, whichever. Or sit or walk around to relax yourself, so that you would not have that kind of anxiety or worriness. Just let them go. And when you come, you have fresh mind. When you have fresh mind, you're ready to tackle any questions. If you mind locked with all kind of worriness, all kind of expectations, it's not easy for you to see through the question that the professor wants you to answer. That's why for me, I don't want to put the multiple choice for you guys. It's too much for you guys already. I know that. So I like you guys to enjoy the class, to learn how to handle your life with this information, with this practice. So, and there's another aspect of Buddhist philosophy that you can do too. This is more lofty, but depend upon how you see life. Life is impermanent. Things come and go. Whereas now, the estimates more than 200,000 homes were flooded. And actually, there's one congressman, one Buddhist congressman. This house was flooded at the last minute because they released water from reservoirs. Impermanence. Things come and go. Sometimes things out of our reach, is out of our control. So if you recognize us, just to take a test. That's one level. Another level is just later on we will study about the Zen traditions. Many of Zen masters say, again, life is illusion. whether you see view or not is up to you. But if you have that type of understanding, it's much easier to accept. But if you see everything like concrete, it's not easy to accept. In a sense, for example, if you say, oh, you have, let's say you just bought a brand new car, or 20, 30,000 cars, and I flooded. It's many cars, right? Of course, you may have full coverage, but they don't. If you drive for a while, they don't pay all. Yeah. Or even your house too. If your house was flooded, they don't pay all. Of course, we get this support from FEMA, from other people, but would not have the same house that we want to live. So again, if we recognize this life impermanence, things come and go, and nothing lasts forever. And sometimes, depend upon our mentality when we take the test too. If we remain calm and acceptant, it's much easier to do. And of course, depend upon your professor too. But most of the time, they would go with the rules and syllabus that they set out for you guys. But still, so it's many in Buddhist way of life. There's many ways for you to tackle the life, to handle life. So the basic thing is to recognize life's impermanence and acceptance, whichever thing happens. That's one of the aspects that people love meditation, mindfulness. That's one of the important aspects. The acceptance is one of the virtue, or one of the most important aspects that you need to have in order to do meditation. And it's helpful too. When you meditation, you see, especially when you observe the breath, it come and go. Or you can recognize us. Don't try to hold on until let things go. Okay? So again, this is breath flow and motion. Again, mouth breathing. It's not. It's unhealthy. I observed that many people before they pass away, because they could not get enough oxygen, they open their mouth. Most of the time, the one who passed away open their mouth because at that moment they could not inhale. So nasal breath is most effective. So we just saw that last video clip, right? Inhale, exhale. Okay, breath, the root of existence. We know that. Yeah. We cannot live without it. Okay, and as children, we breathe deeply, feeling the low abdomen, expand the diaphragm, so forth. It's inhealthy. That's why, if you look at the children, how they breathe in, you recognize that they consume enough oxygen for themselves because they don't have things to concern. But for us, we have so much things to concern. That's somehow there is some problem because of destruction and stuff. That's happened to our breath. As we go older, so we are so engrossed in the grace of survival that we got to breathe properly. So most time we breathe in a shallow way. Okay, we start using human muscle. So for the Taoist people, we believe that this loss of oxygen is primary cause of memory loss in the elderly people. Okay. So breathing is synonymous with life. For most people, we don't recognize, we take it for granted. So, Buddha begins our journey of life. So here, correct way, inhale and exhale. And this is the disciple here. When we sick, severely sick, we breathe in out quickly. And this breathing pattern in sick is a little bit shorter. And normal, they say between 12 and 18 for our adult. And for ID 3 breaths per minute. No, you don't need to hold. But when you enter that type of samadhi, that type of jhana, your body slow down everything. And the breath, so there's the breath. Take this, okay, while breathing both your chest and muscles rise and fall simultaneously. Now here, let me skip it where we go down, smooth, flowing. If you test yourself out, look at your shoulder. Of course now that's okay because you don't have much to concern, right, in your mind. But look at your shoulder, especially when you walk into the room to take a test. Have you ever paid attention to that? Especially when you take a test, or when you have interview, or when you do some kind of critical moments, right? When even, let's say, when the water flood to your house, and so forth. At that time, you may not pay attention much for your body, but your body reacts in that kind of way. You stress out, you feel so tight. You hold your breath. Right? That's why it's easy to get sick. Breath comprises in the role. All physical and psychological response are coming by a change in breathing. So again, stress. If we stress out, there will be a different breathing pattern. It's understandable, right? It happened to everyone of us. When we stress out, when we work too much, we have a short breath. Yeah, concentrate on the breath. Okay, that's the phrase we know. Inhale, exhale. And again, like I told you, the breath is like the bridge. It connects between the body and the mind. When we run around, when we do some physical work, right? We have the quick breath, and when we walk too much, again, yeah, we have quick breath too. And so the breath is like parameters that we can recognize what happened to our body and mind. And that's why breath meditation is one of the most important techniques in Buddhist meditations. That's why we need to regulate or concentrate on the breath. What type of breath are you? Are you trying? Let's see, try. Put one hand on your abdomen, another hand on your upper chest. See how you could try. Okay, deep breath. Breath in through your nose. Determine which hand moves. Try. Which hand it moves. Recognize that? Which one? Okay. Okay, how are you? Okay. How are you?
My chest.
Your chest.
Abdomen. I think they both do, but abdomen.
My chest.
Abdomen.
How are you? You try?
Abdomen.
If you feel your chest moving, so you have short breath. You don't inhale enough oxygen for your body. Of course, you don't need to control it, but later on we'll show you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look at yeah, especially for the one who, when they pass, when most of them they open the mouth. Yeah. When the nose, slow breath. Why is the system? Okay. Breath. So, some people ask me, is it okay to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth? What do you think?
Yeah.
It's not important. It's better. Breathe in out through the nose. It's more healthy because. Yeah, of course, when you inhale through the nose, you have the hands there to filter out all the bacteria. But when you breathe out too, it's better. It's better through the nose. Okay. They have different alternate nostrils breathing, so energy breathing, chest breathing. That like you said, if you feel that your chest breathing only, so you may have a short breath. And that's why when people stress out too much, when they do exercise, chest breathing, here. The street, you can see the last section. The street, the breath movement in the abdomen, forcing high up into the chest, where shoulder move up and down, so you don't consume enough oxygen for your body. Chest breathers on the weak upper body, and this is, they say that about 22,000 times per day for inhalation and exhalations. So we cannot breathe in fully, we cannot breathe out fully also, so that's why we cannot absorb enough oxygen in our body. So they say that here, points to the connection between chest, breathing, heart disease, and high blood pressure. So again, this is like how to let go, relax your shoulder, like you just mentioned, how we deal with this type of stress when we take a test and we deal with critical moments. Just try to relax, just try to let things go. Just accept which everything happen, and ground yourself in the present moment. Don't worry too much. Of course, it's not easy, especially when we think so much, we put things so much things in our mind. To concern about school work. How many of you are working? Oh, most of you, full time? Full time? So it's stressed out a lot, right?
I'm a salesman too.
Huh?
I'm a salesman too.
Oh, really? Wow, that top job. What do you do?
I'm a sales lead at a shoe store.
Shoe store?
Yeah.
You get the salary based on commission?
Hourly.
Oh, that's good then. If you get commission only, this is more stress. Okay. So anyway, this is pretty stressful. On the top of that, many people, they're so stressed out because of the flooding or kind of things. So just try to relax and accept things will happen. Okay. Hyperventilation. So again, just breathing is not helping much. You need to relax yourself. And breath grabbing has been like, when people are talking, you try to jump on their conversation. You could not hold, you could not go with the flow. That's what they're talking about. Again, just let go, to wait for other people to talk. And just wait for other people to finish up talking, or even when you talk in a nice way, in the comfortable way, it's much easier, it's much healthy. What's meant, what do you call, thoracic breathing to the throat. And they say that it's better to have that parameters, the breathing with instead of chest breathing. So again, when you inhale, just inhale. You don't need to use any force. Anyone you practice yoga here? You have breath yoga? You practice how? How is that?
Well, I mean, like during child's pose and stuff, like they just tell you to take a break and just breathe.
Okay, sometimes you hold the breath too?
Yeah.
You too?
Yeah, I do Ashtanga, so it's mostly depending on your pose, it's either still breath or let out or inhale. So it just depends on the motion of the poses. But yeah, breathing is very important. Okay.
But sometimes you hold the breath too?
Yes, definitely.
But there's some techniques to hold the breath, right? Otherwise you may be sick.
Yes.
It may affect to your mind and body.
Yes, you can only hold breath on certain type of poses and for certain periods of time. Like they time you when you say exhale.
So you have practice every day?
Not every day, but every other day.
That's good. That's good. It's good to exercise. It's good to exercise for your body and your mind too. That's what I think. Usually they have combination between the yoga and meditation, and that's why it's now getting popular. Even I live in Indiana. I came from Indiana, and there's many small towns. There's now many yoga studio, many meditation center. It's still healthy for people. Okay, focus. And if you stress out so much, you lie down at home before go to school to take the test. And that's what we talk about vipassana again. Vipassana means you pay attention on things that you're doing. You're mindful things. You're mindful on whichever thing you're doing. When you're drinking, you know that you're drinking. When you eat it, you know you're eating. You don't do 2 things or 3 things at a time. And that's what vipassana is about. This is the thing they want to. Okay, that's the practice. Okay, breathing is shallow. Your breathing increase the heart rate, raise the blood pressure, and regulated breathing, low heart rate, increase the blood pressure and so forth. So again, allow yourself to receive the gift of oxygen. And you know, I had some story in China. Some cities is so polluted that they sell what they call oxygen box. You know that story? Right? We're so blessed here, especially this city. We don't have much pollution to compare with LA or New York. So some companies in China, they import the pure air, not the air purifier, but the pure air. They make the can, you know, like we drink the can, the cup from the can. So they sell that kind of oxygen for people who live in that type of polluted city. So again, we're so blessed. They have some kind of measurement, right? The air quality of the air, every city, right?
When I went to Las Vegas, they had oxygen bars, and you would put it in, and you just sit there, and I guess inhale the oxygen.
Oh, really?
It was weird, yeah.
But is this for fun or is this for test?
I guess it was for fun, yeah. Like
It's
you would
Vegas.
see people like drinking, but then they'd have the thing in their nose, and
People are just trying to make money, but they need it.
That oxygen gives them like a little bit of a good feeling.
Yeah, a little high.
A little high.
Okay, here breath techniques common. They say this the ratio 1 to 2. Inhale, exhale, nose to belly, left nose to sternum. So actually 1 to 1. Inhale, nose, exhale. So this is related to some kind of breath yoga. But okay, again, it's related to we use the breath as the subject of meditation, so that we can relax our mind and our body. Let me go to this display here. Breathe in and I know, and breathe in, breathe out, I know that, and breathe out, and so forth. This attention, step 1, step 8, open awareness and spirit just at ease. I want to emphasize on this because breath meditation in Buddhist practice different from breath yoga. Like that's why I can ask you that in yoga you hold your breath at certain place, right? You focus your mind on the tip of your nose or wherever. But in breath meditation in Buddhist way, it's quite different. That's why I will show you later on. Probably some of you know already, but I will show you. Breath in, gather your attention on the feeling of the breath. Right here. Constantly expanding awareness to whole body and breath in its spacious awareness. Again, this class, I think you somehow you get some practical sense of meditations, especially if you start with the breath. And I think this is it will last long for your life. You can apply in any kind of situation when you are there. Okay, here. Calm, content, forgetful of breath, get distracted, go back to the awareness, but I want to get back here. This one here. This is what we call, this is based upon the breath sutra. Have you ever read this before? The breath sutra. This is what is the most important sutra for the Buddhist people. It's easy to understand, but it's not easy to practice. It takes time for you to get used to that. The first one is what we call the 4 steps that you need to deal with. The first one is what we call anapanasati, that means the awareness of the breath. That's the central word. Breath long, you know. Breath short, experience the whole body, completely the body activities. Here, the important is that when we do inhalations and exhalation, we do it natural way. We don't hold anything. That's the basic thing. That's different from yoga. We breath yoga. That doesn't mean you hold this. And if you don't know how to do that, you may have some problem with your body. And of course, it's stress out too. So Buddhist meditation, especially start with the breath. You just breathe in and out naturally. You don't even out them. You don't, of course, when we inhale, it's much longer than the exhalations. So it doesn't matter. Just accept that. Everyone has different physical need for the oxygen. Male, female, young, old. Everyone of us has different breath impact. It's an awesome impact. So we can accept whichever thing we have. Okay? So there's a way. Breath in, when long or short, we recognize. Breath out, long or short, we recognize. Whether it's when inhale, whether it's deep or shallow, we recognize. And when we breath out too, the same way. It's easy. It's easy to understand, but it's not easy to practice. Why? You know why?
Get distracted.
Distraction, and what else? What else?
Stress in general.
Stress. Stress.
Impatience.
Impatient. That's just one of the things. How about this? Probably next time I need to bring the bear with me. How about just try? Alright, try 1 minute and to see how you feel with your breath. Okay. I think this is your blessing to go to school and you relax yourself too. Right? All the classes, you're so stressed out. You are in rush, right? To go this class and that class. Right? Let me set the times. Let me set the timers. And you practice how you feel, how you feel with your breath. And this is something you can practice at home too, anytime. Just start with 1 minute. Okay, you relax yourself. I will set 1 minute. Next time I will bring my bell. In here, within 1 minute, observe how you recognize your breath. Just let go of everything that happened, that circulate in your mind. Whether you're concerned about your schedule for this semester or your works and so forth, just let them go. Just really focus in 1 minute. Your breath. Right? So don't try to hold up anything. Right? Just inhale naturally and exhale naturally. Don't try to even them out. You understand that? Right, so okay. Let me make the sound to start and the timer will make the sound to stop. Okay, let me hit the table. Next time I will bring the bell. Okay. Alright, ready? So you can close your eyes or open your eyes a little bit. Just really pay attention on the breath. Or keep your neck straight. Yeah, your neck so you can lean to the chair. That's okay to relax yourself. Ready? Go. How is that? You feel comfortable with your breath? How are you?
I don't know, I think it was difficult for me because it was a bit difficult for me because the more aware I was of my breathing, the harder it was for me to breathe.
Here's the deal. Here's the trick too. You remember the day that you just practiced to drive the car?
Yeah.
You know, right? After you pass the permit, right? After you obtain the permit, you start to sit at the driver place to drive the car. How was that?
Like the first time?
Your first time?
First time I got pulled over, so my first time I got pulled over, so that was crazy.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. How was that? It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Foreign.
Yeah. It's you can say it's spread out too. And when actually, yes, most of the time we pay attention on food, on study, and so forth, but we don't pay attention on our breath. That's why when we start to pay attention to it, we feel uncomfortable. That's why you say it's just stresses out. But again, when you looking outwardly, you have more stress. But if you try to build up your habit of look within yourself, start with the breath, eventually you feel more comfortable. Eventually you will feel more relaxed. You know why is that? Because if we look outside, if we look outwardly, what happens? All kinds of things happening. Make sense? But if we look within ourselves, yes, we have only breath. You understand that? So we get used of the breath, eventually we come our mind. And again, the breath is the source of our life. Without breath, we cannot handle our life. That's why for the young children, I used to tell them, who is your best friends? And they say, oh, Johnny and so forth is one of my best friends. But I ask him the next question, can they follow you 24 hours per day, 7 days per week? No way! Of course, but our best friends are breath. Only one best friends. Remember that. Of course, we feel uncomfortable when we look at this, but when we look at it again, I mean that when we get used of pay attention on it, it's much easier for us. That's breath. That's why breath is one of the subject of meditation. Then how about you? Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you practice meditation, it's no problem, right? All right. How are you?
Yeah.
Good. How are you?
I practice meditation, so it's pretty easy. But I do know the same thing, like whenever you're trying to focus on your breath, you kind of start trying to control it. You have to let that go.
Even,
it's
yeah.
hard to do.
You practice too, right? No problem for you, right?
Yeah.
How are you?
Almost fell asleep.
Even 1 minute? Yeah, how are you? Higher, right? Again, so the breath is just our life. So we have to be familiar with that. We have to be friends with it. What happened? If it's gone, our life will be gone. Because we have no choice. We're friends with that. So that's why the Buddha said that when we breathe in long or short, we recognize us. Right? Shadow or deep, we can recognize. And of course, the next step is to count. To count the breath. It's easy to remember that because most of the time, when we really focus on the breath, we'll be mindful, but somehow, like you say, within a minute before sleep, or within a minute, our minds go everywhere. We worry about next class, we worry about this and that. So that's why we need to count breath, so that we anchor down our mind to pay attention to the breath. Okay? So how about this? Do with me? Hopefully you won't fall asleep.
I know, it's just because like, if I try to sleep at night, I can't because my mind is always racing.
That's the point.
That's why like this is different for me. It's like more relaxing rather than how I normally am.
As many people, when they come to my monastery temple, they have that problem, sleeping problems, and they told them, get focused on the breath. And so many of them, they could overcome this kind of problems. They don't need to take any pills. You taking sleeping pill, it's unhealthy. Yeah, it's unhealthy. How about this? Let's do 1 minute, okay? So just count Let me see here. Within 1 minute. So please, when you inhale, remember, don't use any force. That's the tricky way, and that is the easy way too. Don't use any force to force your air in or to force your air out. Don't use any force, because if you force the air in or out, you stress your mind. Like you mentioned about the breath yoga, right? You need to focus. You need to hold your breath somewhere. Someplace I don't know about that. If you focus in the wrong place or too long, too short, probably too long, maybe you may get some kind of illness, right?
You lose your pose and you maybe fall over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
So again, in this case, you don't need to do anything. Mentally and physically. Just imagine your body is like a machine. That's machine, right? Our body mechanism does this kind of inhalation, exhalation since we were unborn up to now. So we don't need to do anything. So when we don't do anything, when we don't have anything to think about, we distress ourselves mentally, right? When we don't force our body to do something, we relax our body too. It makes sense? Okay? So within this 1 minute, so again, just follow your breath. When you have inhale and exhale, just count 1. Naturally, when you inhale in a full way, and your body mechanism will do that job for you. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to add anything. You don't need to force anything. So when you inhale, your body, remember that your body inhale to the full way, and exhale to the full way, count 1. Right? Inhale, and exhale, count 2. Okay? Inhale, exhale, count 3. And try to remember, try to relax yourself physically and mentally. Don't do anything. Okay? Let me set 1 minute and see how it works. Okay, ready? Alright, so relax yourself, relax your shoulder, relax your mind, just let things go. To recognize that your body is like a machine, right? It just does that job, inhalation, exhalation, okay? And we will hit the table, start. Okay, go, please. Okay, can you count? You count?
Did I count?
You can count.
I was still trying to focus.
Okay, you count. How many?
I have 8 breaths.
How about you?
7.
Okay, you count. Okay, you count.
4.
Okay,
15. 10.
you count.
I didn't count.
7.
It's okay, everyone has different speed and has different numbers, so no one like. Again, from time to time, this is a class that we learn the material in the class as well as we practice. So it's good feel. It's good feel how you may change your mind and your body after this class. Okay, so this is a blessing. And so at home, just try 1 minute, couple of minutes. You don't need to sit too long. Right? That's the way that I used to suggest people. You start with 1 minute and when you really focus on that 1 minute, move on to the second one. And if you really focus on the second miss, you can move on. Otherwise, if you have a lot of restriction in your mind, sometimes you miscount, go back to the number, the original number. Alright, so and from time to time we will practice. Okay, so you try to move your reading, the question, get that going. Okay. And we don't have time to talk about the four elements, but this person will do it. So try to adjust the time. So see you.